4.8.
Physics is the way like
Use-
things hit off of each other. Boom! How
Use
about
the
that?
quadratic formula and the discriminant.
What a word. No,
All right,
formula.
so our or the quadratic formula is x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You will need to have that memorized. The discriminant is just this inside part here, so we'll be using that for some stuff in a little bit. You have a chart in your notes about what the value of that means. But we're going to start with some quadratic formula problems and go from there. So again, with these problems, like, you might be able to factor them. You might not be able to. My first thought, if it doesn't specify the method, is to factor. And then I'm going to go to complete the square if that didn't work. And if it's not one that I can complete the square on, I'm going to go to the quadratic formula as my final option. So, but these first ones say to use the quadratic formula, so obviously that's what we're going to be doing. So number 4, I've got x squared minus 6x plus 7 equals 0. So this particular problem, if it did not specify and if factoring didn't work, which it wouldn't work on this problem, I would complete the square because there's a 1 in front here, so it's going to be easier. However, it's not what these instructions say, so I'm going to follow the instructions and use the quadratic formula once I turn this off. All right, so the formula, the numbers in front are your pieces of your formula, okay? The signs go with them if they have a sign. So negative b, well, this b value is negative, so it's going to actually end up being positive. So I'm going to have 6 plus or minus the square root of, now I never write the negative sign when I'm squaring it, because what happens to a number that's squared? It's always what? Yeah, it's always going to be positive, so I usually just write 6 squared. And then minus 4 times 1 times 7. If it's like a 1, a lot of times I don't write it. Again, I kind of skip filling in things, but for right now, while we're getting used to it, I'll write it all. And then all over 2 over 1, or sorry, all over 2 times 1, there we go. Technically, I guess 2 over 1 also, but. So then inside, I've got 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 28 all over 2, which is going to be 6 plus or minus the square root of 8 over 2. Now, can I break this radical down?
Yeah.
Into what?
2, 2, 2.
Yep, so 8 is 2 and 4, 2 and 2. So it'll be 2 root 2, so I can replace that with 2 root 2. So then my answer is going to, well, actually this isn't going to be my answer, so I'll have to simplify it. But 6 plus or minus 2 root 2 over 2. But I'm not done. I can simplify this. I can take a 2 out of the top so that this becomes 2 times 3 plus or minus the square root of 2 all over 2. I can't cancel until I have done this. So I couldn't just cancel this 6 and this 2. People try to do that, but you can't do that. Now that I've factored it out of both pieces of the top, I can cancel it. And so my final answer is 3 plus or minus the square root of 2.
X equals 3 plus or minus the square root. Okay.
Now, a lot of times when I do a quadratic formula, I do it in about 3 steps. I just did this one in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, if you can shortcut steps, if you can just do this in your head and don't even write this as 6 squared, write it as 36, that's fine. I'm just writing it out while we're doing it. I mean, I know y'all have done the quadratic formula before, but if you can skip some stuff and make sure that you're still getting it right, then that's fine. 6. X squared minus 16x plus 7 equals 0. So I've got negative b So, but my b value is negative, so it's going to be 16 plus or minus the square root of 16 squared. If you know what that is, you can go ahead and write it as that, or you can leave it as 16 squared. Minus 4 times a is 1. I'm not even going to write it. C is 7.
Over 2.
Yep, just over 2 because a is 1. So 16 squared is 256. So I've got, and if you want, so that you don't have to keep rewriting this stuff over and over again, just put a line through it and write 256 if you want to do it that way. Like, that's also fine. So I've got 256 minus 28. So then inside the radical, I've got 16 plus or minus the square root of, thank you, 228 over 2. You should try to break this down first. So 228 can break into what?
2 and 114.
Here we go. Breaking it down.
Here we go again.
2 and 57. 3 and
What?
oh, I'm sorry. 3 and I'm sorry.
18.
3 and 18. I'm sorry.
Okay.
3 and 5. Or not
3
5.
and
Oh
6.
my gosh, today is not the
3 and 6, 2 and 3.
I don't,
Isn't it 19?
I was going to say, I don't think that's 18.
That's not 18.
I think, yeah, I was like, I don't think that's right.
Oh.
Hold on.
It'd be 19.
Let me confirm, but I don't think that's
3
right.
times 20 is 60.
It's 19.
She said 18.
No, you said 18.
You said it and then I just wrote it and then I was like, that doesn't add up because 3 times 8 would be 24 and that would end up with a 4 on the end. Alright, so that part is not going to matter, but I can take a 2 out. So I'm going to have 16 plus or minus 2 root 57 over 2. I have to factor this 2 out of the top to cancel it. So I have 8 plus or minus the square root of 57 all over 2. 2's cancel. I'm left with 8 plus or minus the square root of 57.
Can I just like skip the part where I take the 2's out and just write 8 plus or minus?
If you remember to do that, I would strongly caution you against that though, because a lot of people do this when they do that.
They just don't take
They don't take
out that.
it out of both pieces.
Ew.
So that's why I show it this way. Yes, I do what you're saying. I just skip because I can do that in my head. But I would just be very careful with that you don't forget and miss something small. Let's see. Let's find one that has a value in front. 8. Need an a value in this one. 5p squared minus 10p plus 24 equals 0. Alright, so again, b is negative, so since it's negative b, it's going to end up being positive. So I've got 10 plus or minus the square root of b squared. So I'm going to go ahead and just write that as 100. It's 10 squared. Minus 4 times 5 times 24. Probably would actually write that out. Probably wouldn't attempt to do that in my head. And then over 2a, 2 times 5, I would go ahead and write that as 10.
Yep.
Great.
Are we sure this time? So I'm just going to cross it out again so I don't have to do that. So now I have 10 plus or minus the square root of negative 380 over 10. We're going to break down 380, and I swear if you start with a 2.
38 and 10.
Thank you.
Number 2.
I was like, do not tell me to take out a 2.
190.
All right, 10 breaks
5 and
into
2.
38
2
breaks
and
into
19 and 2, I think.
Yep, so I've got a set of 2's here, and then I've got 5 and 19 left over. Now,
The negative.
Yep, that was my next question. What do I do with that negative inside?
You take it out as I.
Take it out as an I, so I'm going to have 10 plus or minus 2i, and then the square root of 95. Is that right?
Huh?
Yeah.
19 nickels would be 95 cents. Yep. Okay. Over 10.
What a way to do that.
It's the easiest way for me to think about it. Think about it as if it's money. I like money. All right, so now I'll take out, notice this one's a little bit different because I don't just have a 2 on the bottom. But yes, I'm going to take out the 2. So I have 5 plus or minus I root 95 over 10. Now 2 goes into 10 5 times, so I'm going to end up with 5 plus or minus I root 95 over 5. And just like what we were saying with the ones yesterday, I think it was yesterday, you can put the I after the radical. Just make sure it's clear that it's not under the radical. Normally, notationally, we stick it in front in these kind of problems because they're not specifying standard form. So if they're specifying standard form, then obviously we have to do it differently. But
They stop making pennies? Yeah. What?
yep, as of
Before
yesterday.
golf?
No, yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what is today?
I can't
still
pay
gonna
my
be
bills
being
and pennies now. It's just terrible.
All right, so far, all of these problems have been in standard form, right? Meaning like my squared term, my just like individual term, and then my constant term. So I'm going to look at one that's not in standard form, but I'm hoping that we're feeling okay with the quadratic formula. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'd see you.
Oh, we were really far off.
So I've got 6 minus 2t squared equals 9t plus 15. So I can't use the quadratic formula if it's not set equal to 0. So I need to get it equal to 0.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Now, it does not matter if I move it to the right or to the left. However, what I notice is if I move the stuff to the left, I'm going to have all negative numbers. If I move it to the right, I'm going to have positive numbers. Doesn't really matter, but I like to have positive numbers, so I'm going to move stuff to the right. But it will work either way. So 0 equals 2t squared plus 9t, subtracting that 6 plus 9. And the other thing that I didn't mention, because we haven't really had one that this has happened on yet, but sometimes once you do this, you can factor something out, like we did in that first step where we're like factoring out, like, what was that one yesterday? We took out like a 4 or something like that from the whole thing, and then we divided 0 by 4. It'll just make your numbers easier if you don't do that. Like the quadratic formula is still going to get you to the same answer. You're just going to be reducing at the end instead of at the beginning. So just be aware of that. If there's something, I obviously can't take anything out of this one, but if it was like 3t squared, I could take a 3 out of everything and have simpler numbers. So, all right, so now we have a positive b value this time. So I'm going to have negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 9 squared is 81. So I'm going to go ahead and write it that way. Minus,
72.
yeah, 4 times 2 times 9. So we've got 72. All over 2 times 2 is 4. So you're welcome to do it just like I just did it. If you need to write everything out,
It's not.
you can also do that.
That means 3.
So this inside, as she just pointed out, becomes 9.
9 plus or minus 3.
So at this point, I would go ahead and split this just to save a step of writing because I'm going to have to since it's a number like not left in a radical. So I'll have negative 9 plus 3 over 4 or negative 9 minus 3 over 4.
6 over 4.
So 6 over 4, 3 over, yeah, good catch. Negative 3 over 2.
Did we get cookies?
And then negative 12 over 4 or negative 3. So my two values on this one, they end up being two easy numbers to deal with. Most likely that means this probably was factorable. Factors of 18 that give me 9. Yeah, 6 and 3. This one actually would have been factorable. So if this was a problem that just said to solve the equation, you could have factored instead and not had to do the quadratic formula. But not what the instructions say. So, All right, any questions on those ones before we do the last stuff that's in this section?
Is
Okay.
the next section more difficult?
If you don't memorize the chart that's in your notes, then yes, it would be.
Because we're graphing them.
No, we're not graphing.
No, that was just an example of shot. Like,
I was showing you what it produces.
Real answers.
We're not graphing those. Okay, so find the discriminant of the quadratic equation. So that's just what's inside of your radical, but not with the radical. It's just the numbers that go inside of it. And then it says to give the number and type of solution. So we had, if it's greater than 0, like the value, I have 2 real solutions. If it's equal to 0, I have 1 real solution. And if it is less than 0, I have 2 imaginary solutions. So that's essentially what you need to memorize. You don't have to like memorize the whole chart. You just need to know that information. So 32. S squared plus 7s plus 11 equals 0. All right, so all I'm doing is the inside, which is the b squared minus 4ac. So that's all that I care about on this. I won't write it every time, but just for us to see it. I feel like it just got hard to see. So 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times 11. So that's 49 minus 44 equals 5. So that is greater than 0. So this is the discriminant value. It's greater than 0, which means I have 2 real solutions. So those 2 things are what I'm looking for your answer to be completely correct on a quiz or test. I'm looking for the value of the discriminant and then how many solutions it would have. So you can check and see, kind of using this method, like up here, if we did it, we would be able to see that we would have had 2 real solutions with this one, and that's what we ended up with.
Cool.
34. Negative 4w squared plus w minus 14 equals 0. And obviously, just like the problems we were doing earlier, if it's not equal to 0, we've got to move everything over. So just be aware of that. And if a term is like missing, you can still use the quadratic formula, but usually you can factor it if a term is missing. But just be aware of that as well. All right, so b squared is just 1 squared minus 4 times negative 4 times negative 14.
How is it 1?
B is 1.
Oh, I'm never mind.
So I've got 1 minus,
256 minus 32.
4.
I think it's like 224, right?
Negative 14 equals.
So then negative 223, well, that's very clearly less than 0, which means I have 2 imaginary solutions.
You're so good.
Now, does that kind of make sense to you guys why it's that way? What would happen if this was in a radical?
I don't know.
It would take out a what?
An I.
I would take out an I. So that automatically tells me I'm going to have 2 imaginary solutions.
Because I stands for imagine.
Really?
So you can think about it that way as well
I mean, again, yeah.
to kind of help you without having to fully memorize it, but that's hopefully going to help you start understanding the process a little bit better.
I'm so proud of you.
What are you?
Do we need to see another one, or are we okay with that?
We're good.
We're video good.
All right, problems 5, 9, 19, 31, 33, and
Oh wait, I have 2 pens.
36.
Oh, this is why this one gets so crap.
We have 4.8. Yeah.
It's just because I want you to see something in that problem.
8.
Wait, that's an even number. He's just right now he has 2 hands.
Can't copy that one out of the back of the book.
No.